Good evening, everyone, and thank you for attending tonight's event. So I'm Steph Richards. I'm a 70-year-old trans woman. I'm also a feminist, a human rights activist for both women and trans people, and the proud women's officer at Portsmouth Labour Party. You may ask, why am I not retired? At 58, I could no longer live with my persistent gender dysphoria. So I started to transition, and just over 3 years ago, I had lower surgery. I originally launched the Steph's Place website in July 2020 to raise the visibility of people like me. But I quickly realised that misinformation about trans people was rife, but no organisation was actively countering the lies. So I set out to build a team around me to rectify this. The trans community consists of around 450,000 people, many with incredible talents like Sophie Wilson. She, in all likelihood, designed the processor in your mobile phone. Transness. But there's a dark side. My community is under constant attack by the media. Last November, the UK press published on average 2 articles per day about trans people. By June, that was up to 7. Incredibly, during July, the press published up to 33 articles a day that directly or indirectly attacked trans people. As a result, half of my community are too frightened to leave their homes for fear of abuse on the street. Many can't get a job. The majority of us consider suicide at some point in our lives. And sadly, many try and succeed. I know a young trans man who's attempted suicide 11 times. And I've personally have lost 2 trans friends. Today, Steph's Place, with a team of 8, has been entirely self-funded. We are active in many different areas. We combat misinformation, we talk to MPs, and we even undertake highly complex investigations. And we've already had several successes, even against the Ministry of Justice. And in September, at the National Diversity Awards, supported by ITV News, MI5, Lush, and many others, we won the LGBT Community Organisation Award for 2022. So I'd like to introduce you to Dalton, just one of the many people we have helped, and then pass over to my colleague and co-founder, Claire.
Trans man, I often felt invisible. And then I ended up in prison. 2 years after getting out, I thought there was no chance of me ever being heard. And then I found Steph's Place. It gave me a community, it gave me my voice back, and it gave me a chance to feel like I could really better myself. I really needed Steph's Place, and it has always been there for me. And I can't advocate for them enough.
Hi everyone, I'm Claire. As well as directly supporting people like Dalton and addressing misinformation, our work pivots on our human rights for our community. Our biggest investigation to date revealed that our national human rights body, the EHRC, has been, shall we say, less than supportive of trans people. This led to us making 2 evidence submissions to the United Nations. And it was also a key factor in the cancellation of the so-called Safe to Be Me LGBT conference this summer. However, we still actively engage with the EHRC in dialogue. And we are starting to see some progress. To the best of our knowledge, no other trans-led organisation is engaged with them. We've also engaged with the Government Equalities Office, which has led to some small but very welcome changes to the gender recognition process. And we're trying to work with both the CAS Review and the NHS in regards to ongoing fundamental issues with trans healthcare in the UK. And if we've done all of that with no funding, what can we do with your help? Our community is isolated, fractured, and vulnerable. Most of our community's work is done by small groups or individuals with little coordination and even less funding. It's time to change that because no one else is tackling this stuff head on. We're rebranding as TransLucent, a dedicated UK transgender, non-binary and gender diverse advocacy organisation in the UK. Steph's Place remains a core part of that new organisation as our feminist and lifestyle section. So what do we have planned that your support will help to achieve? We have a new website in planning at the moment. That's going to cost in and of itself about £4,000 just due to the amount of content that we actually have on the existing website. We've applied to become a community interest company and we intend in the future to develop into a charity. But we also want to build and expand on our existing successes. So, such as fighting for improved healthcare, access to healthcare, basic human rights, the conversion therapy ban, and legal recognition. But we've also identified gaps that need to be filled, such as information for partners of trans people and for people who also detransition. Funding will help us to commission content, which means that the core team will then be freed up to work on policy, investigations, and research work. We also want to build a hub to coordinate, promote, and amplify the voices of trans people and trans groups in this country. And we want to hold an annual UK Trans Conference. With your help, we can start to achieve these goals, improving the lives of trans, non-binary, and gender diverse people in the UK. People like Dalton. Thank you.